The Dynamic Capabilities of Firms. David Teece and Gary Pisano. David J. Teece is Professor in Global Business at the University of California. Gary Pisano is Professor of Business Administration at the Harvard Business School. They have developed a model called Appropriability regimes. The model provides an introduction to how a company avoids that its innovation is quickly copied by others. Appropriability is a composition of the words property and replicability. Appropriability is a function both of the ease of replication and the efficacy of intellectual property rights as a barrier to imitation. The model has two main divisions. The first of these is inherent replicability. The second is intellectual property rights. Each of these two broad divisions have two subcategories. The first, inherent replicability, it can be easy or hard to imitate the product or service a company is offering. The second, intellectual property rights, they can be loose or tight. It is about the strength of patents, trademark protection, design protection, etc. These 2x2 categories create a model with 4 fields. These are weak, moderate, and again moderate, and finally strong. The 4 fields indicate whether we are weak, moderate, or strong in protecting our innovation. Each field is reviewed in the following sections. In the field weak, it is easy to imitate your product, and your intellectual property rights are loose. If you do nothing or you perform incremental innovation and launch new products, services, or processes that only involves small adjustments to the existing products or processes, and you have no protection of your brand in accordance with the legislation, you stay in this weak field. You become a producer of standard products or services in a homogeneous market. In the first of the 2 moderate fields, it is hard to replicate your product or processes, and your intellectual property rights are loose. You are doing something unique. In this field, there are inherent organizational core competencies which are not protected by law, but are difficult to replicate. It is generally difficult to copy organizational processes and positions from other companies. Copying and knowledge transfer is difficult between companies with different systems. In the second field, called moderate, it is easy to replicate your products or processes, but your intellectual property rights are tight. Firms located in this field are normally in industries where patents are very strong and protected by law, or copyright trademarks are very strong because they are important for the customers. The last of the 4 fields is strong. Here, it is hard to replicate your product or organizational processes, and the intellectual property rights are tight. It is not only difficult to copy, it is also illegal. Companies placed here are normally very innovative. They make use of both incremental innovation as well as radical innovation. Theoretically, all companies should strive to get a strong position in their market, and if they are in a strong position, they should strive to maintain the position. According to David Teece and Gary Pisano, it requires the company to have dynamic capabilities. They organize these capabilities into 3 categories. The two scientists advance the argument that the strategic dimensions of the firm are its managerial and organization processes, its present position, and the paths available to it. Each of the 3 categories may be described as follows. Organizational and managerial processes consist of 3 main subjects. These are integration, learning, and, last but not least, reconfiguration and transformation. Integration is about the importance of how efficiently and effectively internal coordination and integration is achieved. Likewise for external coordination. Perhaps even more important than integration is learning. Learning is a process by which repetition and experimentation enable tasks to be performed better and more quickly, and new production or business model opportunities to be identified. Learning involves organizational as well as individual skills. The last of the 3 main subjects is reconfiguration and transformation. In rapidly changing environments, there is obviously value in the ability to sense the need to reconfigure the firm's asset structure and to accomplish the necessary internal and external transformation ahead of competition. The second strategic dimension is position. It consists of 4 strategic assets, which together will determine the firm's market share and profitability at any point in time. The 4 strategic assets are technological assets, complementary assets, financial assets, and locational assets. Technological assets consist of know-how and patents. A firm's technological assets may or may not be protected by the standard instruments of intellectual property law. Either way, the ownership, protection, and utilization of technological assets are clearly key differentiators amongst firms. Complementary assets can be many different conditions. 2 of these are of distribution channels and service capability. Some firms have exclusive agreements both up and down the chain, and they service their customers with excellence. Financial assets are in the short run the firm's cash position. Accordingly, what a firm can do in short order is often a function of its balance sheet. In the long run, that ought not to be so. Trust also plays a part. Location assets can be of strategic importance. The right location may be the source of difficult-to-replicate advantages, which manifest themselves in lower transport costs, superior convenience, and the like. The last dimension is paths. Where a firm can go is a function of the path behind, its current position, and the paths ahead. The dimension consists of 2 main subjects. These are path dependencies and technological opportunities. The path dependencies are a function of fixed costs, such as equipment and overheads, and core rigidities. The historical path often shapes the future path. Technological opportunities can influence the future path if management is willing and able to take a risk. In the following section, we will review examples from each field. Example from the weak field. This could be mass-produced clothes without trademarks or standard screws for an industry. It is easy to replicate, and you have no property rights to the product or the processes of manufacturing the product. You become a producer of standard products or services, and you are not protected by the law. To move away from this field, you have to do more than incremental innovation. Example from the field moderate. IKEA, the Swedish furniture giant, which has a unique distribution and logistics system. They also have a very extensive knowledge of their customers, and they draw on this knowledge continuously. They are in a constant learning process. Other organizations find it very difficult to imitate this process. For some of the world's largest online trading platforms, knowledge about their customers and distribution and logistics systems are also their main competitive parameter. The accumulation of knowledge regarding this is very difficult to imitate. Among the heavyweights in this category are Amazon and Alibaba. Example from the second moderate field. Here you find the pharmaceutical company Pfizer, which has patents on their various drugs. Apple and Lego are also to be found here. It is their trademark that protects them from copying. They are protected by the law. Example from the field strong. You could also actually defend placing Pfizer or Apple here. They both have a very strong research and development department. It is difficult for other companies to copy their ability to develop new business areas. In addition, IKEA actually tries to move to this position. They own more and more centrally located properties, whose location competitors cannot imitate. Now we shall review a criticism of the model. It is not defined which conditions must be met to be loose or tight regarding intellectual property rights, or when something is easy or hard to replicate, and thus the transition between weak, moderate and strong is not an objective assessment. The model gives no recommendation about the competencies the company has to acquire or in which direction it should go. It is clear, however, that to do nothing means a decline, and in the end death for any firm. The firm has to have innovation in all three strategic dimensions mentioned in this film.